This is the Geek Cabal channel. My name is Bobbie, and this is the intro for our coverage of Indiana Comic Con 2025. I recorded a series of videos while I was there at, well, some at Comic Con, some at my friend's Chris's house later on. And yeah, so this is the intro to those. I did a wrap up at the end of each day. Didn't have any, place to set up other than the bedroom. So the second one might sound kind of like I'm rambling because I'm quite tired whenever I filmed it. And yeah, so that one might sound a little rambly. In fact, I passed out at some point after the convention and woke back up and realized I still need to record the video. So the volume's a little down on some of those because I was trying to keep noise down so I didn't wake up Chris while I was trying to record them. So yeah, but essentially I just kind of talk about, what I did each day, day 1, day 2, day 3. And then kind of showed off some stuff that I bought. Had some little side stories, but yeah. So that's basically what's going on there. So after those, we'll have some footage from the convention. And yeah, well, you'll see me again talking about that in between. So anyway, here are the videos, my thoughts at the end of each day. Well, except for day 3, I actually filmed it Monday instead of Sunday because I was way too tired to even try to film it Sunday night. So anyway, here we go. All right, this is my day 1 Indiana Comic Con thoughts, wrap up, whatever you want to call it, video. Yeah, so kind of late, getting ready to head to bed after this, get ready for day 2. So I got up here pretty late. Started at 12:30. It was almost 5 by the time I got up here. Chris has already been here for a while and wanted to get some artist work done, and so he commissions. That's what we're doing. Got some commissions going, and hopefully we'll pick those up tomorrow. Let's see. I only bought one thing. I was primarily looking for omnibus comics, specifically X-Men omnis that I'm missing. A few others. This one wasn't on my list, but it's one I was kind of looking for anyway. It's the Secret Warriors omnibus. Nick Fury there on the cover with a, can't quite see it, but I think a Hydra symbol back behind him. So I've mentioned these before, but you can see how thick this is. There are, let's see, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33 issues in this altogether. So here's the cover artwork back here on the back. And I have the whole series collected in paperback, but I prefer the hardbacks. These are larger. Like a normal comic is only about this tall and about this wide. So they are actually larger format. The pages are larger. The artwork's larger. It's easier to read, etc. There's no ads in there. It's just straight. Like the last page might be some ad for other Omnis or Marvel Masterworks or something like that. But other than that, nothing. And I haven't taken out the plastic yet. There'll be some kind of cover underneath. This is a desk jacket. This is a hardback book. This is not paperback. And yeah, this is several hundred pages. This is the direct market cover, according to this. Yes, even these gigantic books that cost over $100 have variant covers. And yeah, so now that I have this, I'll probably sell my trade paperback versions, try to recoup some of my money. This would normally have been like $125 at retail. I don't really pay retail for any of these. I can find them for less than retail usually. There's rare exceptions, like there's a Captain America Omni that had a variant cover that they were not going to reprint. When they reprinted the book, they were going to give it a new variant. So I wanted the old one because it was going to be a collector's item. But had I gotten stuck with the new one would have been good too. Now the reason is because the original cover is one of two covers, like the back side has the other one. These are people that Captain America has fought. So like one side is the Red Skull, Baron Zemo. The other side are sort of Russian villains and the Winter Soldier, because it's the start of the Winter Soldier story arc where he's first introduced and everything. I mean, as the Winter Soldier. Obviously Bucky was introduced decades ago, but as the Winter Soldier. So the variant cover has the German side on the front, and well, they're World War II Germans, so there's some iconography that Marvel sometimes shies away from, but I mean, they know who Captain America fought, so sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. I know like Alex Ross in his works doesn't, like he doesn't pull any punches, like, you know, they were Nazis, like, so, you know, you're gonna see the swastika. And like I said, the backside's the Russians. So, you know, the big hammer and sickle flags. And so at this point, it's the harder to find one, I believe. And now the new direct market cover is Cap in Arlington in front of Bucky's grave. It's also a really nice cover. Like if I couldn't have found the other one, I would have bought the new direct market cover because it's pretty good too. But I'm not going to double dip on $100 books. So I paid just under cover for that one, I think, or just over. But other than that, there's the JLA Avengers crossover paperback reprint. I definitely paid way over cover for that. But there was only so many copies. I was kind of lucky to find one. So yeah, hopefully that'll come out in a hardback at some point in the future, or re-released in a hardback. I think it was released in a hardback once. Because that would be nice. I definitely prefer the hardbacks. They hold up better on shelves. They're longer lasting. And like I said, they're oversized print, so they're easier to read. But yeah, now this one in particular, this is an interesting storyline. It's where Nick Fury realizes that Hydra has thoroughly infiltrated S.H.I.E.L.D., and so he has to assemble a group from outside of S.H.I.E.L.D. to try to deal with them. And like the character Quake is used extensively in there, and some other people. And you know, you've got the normal standbys like Dum Dum Dugan, and of course Baron von Strucker factors into it quite a bit since he's the leader of Hydra. And you see some kind of background from when S.H.I.E.L.D. and Hydra are both formed, and this kind of ties into the S.H.I.E.L.D. Secret History storyline. I don't think it's called that, but both are primarily written by Jonathan Hickman. And the other one deals with all kinds of crazy stuff. It's like Leonardo da Vinci is leading one faction of S.H.I.E.L.D. against Isaac Newton in the secret city under the Vatican, fighting over who's going to raise a celestial that was born on Earth. Nikola Tesla is like some lightning man from the future that shows up occasionally. Weird stuff. But this one, you see a little bit of that because they talked to Da Vinci at one point. So I assume that means he won the war into the Vatican. Because I don't have the second half of that yet. There's a huge gap between, in terms of physical years, between two of the issues. It's like 6 or 7 years. It's something crazy. But that's also getting the oversized hardcover format soon, so I'm going to get that all at once too, hopefully. Honestly, almost everything Hickman writes is fantastic. It's just weird, wild sci-fi stuff that just embraces all kinds of bizarre premises and just runs wild with it. It's great. It's a real shame he left the X-Men when he did. Like his ideas, you know, you could tell what he was writing versus what everyone else was writing. Everyone else was writing either slop to okay. Hickman's writing was light years ahead of them, you know, bar none. Oh well, what could have been? So anyway, I did see some cool stuff, but only had like a couple of hours. Definitely some things I'm going to be picking up tomorrow. And I'm going to be keeping an eye out for the other Omnis I'm looking for. There was one slabbed book that there's no way it's going for anything I'd pay for it probably, but if it's close enough, maybe. I don't know. I don't really get to think about it, especially if the price is actually reasonable on it. But then again, I don't know what the actual market price is, so I'm not sure what reasonable is in this case. I mean, I'd buy an unslabbed copy of it if I could find it. But anyway, I also found out one of my random Earth X issues is a little valuable, and the general advice was to sell it now. Might have to do that. I don't know. But yeah, I'm probably not really going in for celebrity autographs or pictures. At least I don't think I am. I think Jimmy's going to be up here tomorrow with Owen and some of the others. So maybe we'll get some, I'm going to try to get some video around the actual convention center there, just to show you guys what it is and show you kind of like the big cavernous areas, because it's in the same place that GenCon occurs. So I'll show you like the size difference. It's pretty dramatic. Indiana Comic Con is significantly smaller, although it's in that same giant area of the convention center. But it doesn't have a whole bunch of other like spillover stuff like Gen Con does. I think everything's actually in the convention center. None of the hotels, I think. Yeah, I think Chris is going for an autograph tomorrow. Like I said, I don't think I'm going for any pictures, but we'll see. I mean, if I were going to, I'd probably try to convince Jim to go in on with me to get a picture with, who was it? Jonathan Frakes, who played Commander Riker in Star Trek The Next Generation and some of the other shows. Brent Spiner, who played Data, and Denise Crosby, who played Tasha Yar. All three of them are here, and there's an option to get a picture with all three of them. And you can have up to 2 people in the pictures. So, you know, I don't think they'll go for it, and it's expensive for a picture. I mean, you know, it's great. Like, I was willing to pay for Shatner. I do have a picture of me and Shatner. But, I don't know. And the only other one would be Ernie Hudson, Winston Zeddemore from Ghostbusters, but I don't know. It's a lot. Or I could spend even more and get William Shatner's picture again, because he's here too, so. I really should have brought my other picture of him so I could hold that while taking the new picture, but, you know, oh well. So yeah, I'm going to try to do a video tomorrow evening, talk about whatever we do tomorrow, and hopefully I'll have some actual footage from the convention floor. And if I do, I don't know how exactly I'm going to edit all this, so I'm just recording just in case I can use this. In case I don't do like a big final wrap up instead. So we'll see. But anyway, that's all I've got on this one. So we'll see you folks for tomorrow, which will be Saturday, the 15th, I think. Oh, also, we went and watched the movie afterwards, Novocaine. So if this video comes out first, look for a review of that in the very near future. So I think we're gonna try to go watch Captain America 4 tomorrow, I think. So anyway, and I'm hoping to watch Char's Counterattack on Sunday. Didn't know that was an option until like a week ago, thanks to Brian, our fan from Boston. So yeah, that's definitely a thing. I'm gonna shoot for that. But anyway, the only other thing is, if I somehow make it out to the Lego convention that's also here, like Brick World, it's at the State Fairgrounds, that would probably have to be Sunday. I don't know, gotta think about that, because that'll be a whole other admission fee and parking fee, and you know, I mean, if I do, I'll get lots of great video, because there's all kinds of really cool setups. I've been there a couple times. I don't know if I'm going to buy anything, though. I actually got a deal on the way up here on a Lego set. I found it on clearance. It's one of the space sets I was missing. It was $35. I got it for $21, so it's a pretty good deal. But yeah, that's all I've really got to say. So, folks, that's where I'm going to be signing off. I don't know if this is going to lead into the next episode or how I'm going to edit it, but yeah, that's all I've got. So, adios. So, day 2 of Comic-Con is Indiana Comic-Con is done, and I'm recording this pretty late, so I got kind of tired, fell asleep earlier. That's why you get the hair down effect today. Normally I have it up in a ponytail. Yes, I do have very long hair. And yes, it is red. I'm not bald. Like there's hair up here. So yeah, didn't spend a whole lot today. I really only bought like 2 things. One is this. It's a G.I. Joe Class 5 figure that I was missing. This is a Python Patrol Crimson Guard. A lot of people think these look ugly. Like, I don't know. There was something about the old figures I like, the color combination. I mean, they're supposed to be red. They're Crimson Guards. But, yeah, the different color combination, I know something about it I liked. Like, I have no idea what. But, yeah. I actually kind of hit a bit of an... Well, I bought something else, but I'm not going to put it on here because it's going to be a little bit of a surprise for Sarah. So this video might be up before I actually see her in person again. So I will probably put them in a video. Probably. I don't know, I'll talk about them at least in another video. But no, that's pretty nice what I got her, if I do say so myself. But no, I didn't spend much because I haven't found any other omnibus books that I'm looking for. And so really, I've tried for years to find certain comic book issues here because there's a couple of runs that I'd like to complete. And one of them is the Transformers Generation 2, which I have never seen anything beyond like the first or second issue, which I already have. It's the last 4 issues I need. And so I've basically given up on ever finding those. And other than those, I don't even know what I'd be looking for. Because if I really start going back into back issues, like I'm sure there's going to be some keys and whatever I'm looking for, and they're going to go for some stupid amount of money. So yeah, that's why I collect the compilations. But no, I haven't seen any others of those. And although the guy that did have those did have a bunch of paperbacks, like 4 for $20. I might check those out tomorrow, assuming I don't go to the Lego show instead. If I do go to the Lego show, I have some video of that. But I don't know if that's going to be happening or not. That's tough to say. Depends on how I feel in the morning, I guess. Then, yeah, other than that, the main thing I'd be looking for are like Black Series Star Wars figures, which I only have like 4 or 5, and I really don't need like another rabbit hole to go down. Or the Marvel Legends figures, and most of those are overpriced up here. Because, you know, I have the internet, I have eBay, I have other options. So I don't know why people would pay the prices I'm seeing. Because they're acting like, oh, well, this is the only game in town, and it might figuratively be the only game, well, I guess, sorry, literally be the only game in this town. But we live in a global market thanks to the internet, so it's figuratively not the only game in town. And I mean, some of them it's, you know, it's only a few dollars difference, but that adds up. And then there was also the existential crisis moment of, okay, like I'm collecting these things, but like towards what end? And is it just more stuff to have? And so, you know, I don't need more stuff. I've been selling my stuff. And so I don't know. And if I'm not looking for those, what am I looking for? And then that just kind of spirals into, well, I'm just not going to buy much of anything, I guess. You know, 'cause, I mean, there are other things here, you know, like people selling, you know, vintage toys, which that's great, but they're typically really expensive. And it's just going to be a thing to sit around because I'm not going to open it, you know. And even if I were, I'm definitely not going to play with it. So, what's the point? I have like a couple like crown jewels to the collection kind of pieces, so I don't need more of those. So yeah, I'm kind of don't know what I'm after here at this point. You know, it's in like GenCon where it's like, oh, what's the new game? You know, what's the new thing? Do I need this for my other game? You know, what's the new hotness over here? Like, there's some cool dice, and you know, there's some cool dice here too. But generally speaking, they're more than I would want to pay for these kinds of dice, and I've got tons of dice anyway. You know, where here it's like, I pretty well know what the booths are going to be selling. Like, there's a few booths that sell older video games. Okay, but despite what Owen and I have said on here, like, I'm not tracking down a bunch of old video games. You know, I have a functional Super Nintendo, but am I really trying to find a bunch of old Super Nintendo games when I have a Nintendo Switch that they're probably already on for free? Or the Nintendo Mini I have, I can load the ROMs onto, like, again, also for free, but let's not go into that part. You know, or I can pay like $200 for Chrono Trigger. Like, why would I do that? You know, it's absurd. So, so I'm stuck, and so I don't even know what I'm after. You know, like there's some cool things, but it's like, are they just going to be things? And so again, kind of existential crisis moment there. So I don't know if I'm going to be having anything that I bought for video number 3 here after day 3. Like, there's a couple other JoJo classified figures I have, you know, that they have that I want, because unlike Marvel Legends, that's actually really limited. Like, they only release so many figures. I mean, it's over the course of over a decade, and I mean, they in any given year released anywhere from 10 to 20 some odd new figures, but I don't want all of them. I don't want every Cobra soldier. I don't want every Joe, and eventually get into like weird variants. So, you know, basically once I have like the original Joe team, well, I say original, but we're talking up to like 87, 88, and then some stragglers after that. Like, I don't need Duke version 2. I don't really know if I need both regular and Tiger Force Duke. You know? And the same thing with Cobra. Like, I don't need every single Cobra soldier type, and I don't need huge multiples of those soldiers like I had in the 3 3/4 inch scale before I sold them. You know, like, I really don't need more than 2, maybe 4 of any given soldier. Like, there's one that I have 5 of, that's the Cobra Bat. That's a battle android trooper, it's a robot. But that's only because I kept finding them on sale. You know? Speaking of which, I've seen something very peculiar with the pricing on that up here. There's one booth that has the Python Patrol Cobra Bats, which don't actually have an original series counterpart that was made just for the classified line. One booth has them for $10. That's like the show special, it says. One booth has them for, I think, $17, and then one booth has them for $70. And I just look at the one for $70, and I'm just like, again, like, guys, this is not the airport where you have a captive audience that has no choice but to buy your $15 tuna fish sandwich there. Like, I mean, if they sell them, you know, more power to them, but I don't think they're selling them. And it's, I think that one in particular is a booth in the past that, like, has just had ridiculous prices. And I don't know who they're selling them to. I mean, they're just selling to somebody because they keep coming, but it's ridiculous to me. If I could get those prices, I'd be emptying out my inventory, rent a booth, and sell away. There was a Lego set that I saw that I'm thinking about buying, because it's one that there's a stamp on there that tells you when they're manufactured, I didn't know this until the other day, because there's one set that has a variant minifigure in ones that are manufactured in a certain time frame. And that figure is going for a little over $100 right now. And the set at retail is $70. This guy went $65, and the numbers indicate that it should have the variant figure. So I don't know if I'm going to risk that, because I'm spending $65 in the hopes of profiting $35, and then I guess probably selling the set and everything else for parts or whatever. Or to hold on to it, because that variant was only made during a limited time frame and is not being made anymore. So there's some other variants that some of the videos I've seen, I had no idea that certain variant Lego figures were worth hundreds, or in I think a couple of cases over 1,000. Well, it's British pounds, but that's over $1,000 also, unless I'm mistaken on the conversion rate. So yeah, I'm debating on it. I might go back to that guy. But I saw a shirt that I thought was kind of funny, but they didn't go up to my size. And that's another thing that here in GenCon, I don't get. Like, one look around, and you'd be able to tell that you should be able to sell a fair number of 3X, maybe even 4X shirts. And they're like, oh yeah, we brought like 5. And then here's everything from like small to XL in like huge multiples. By the way, we sold the triple XL like 10 minutes after the show opened. And it's just like, what are you doing? You know, like, again, take a look around. Who's your target audience here? Why aren't you bringing more shirts in larger sizes? Like, there are some very large individuals. And I mean, for me, it's mainly my height at this point, because I've lost a lot of weight. But yeah, like, even if I were skinny, I think the most I could do is a 2X, just because of my height. So I don't know. It's ridiculous to me. But yeah, then afterwards, Chris and I went to go watch Captain America 4, Brave New World. And I'm going to do a separate video on it, so it might already be up by the time this video comes up. But I'll just say briefly that I don't see the complaints. Like, I thought it was a decent movie. I don't think it hits the highs of The Winter Soldier, but it's still a good movie. There's a few parts of the plot that I'm not so sure on. And I don't know if that's because of the multiple rewrites and reshoots, but, they are a thing. And then also, bizarrely, the Fantastic Four trailer wasn't played in front of it. I don't know what that's all about. But yeah, have that. And then once we got back to his place, we watched The Monster Squad, the movie from like 1987, which I think the last time I watched it was either back in the 80s or early 90s. And that's also going to get a video. But there was definitely some moments in that movie. Let me tell you what. But yeah, overall, I enjoyed myself. I don't want to have this come through. It's like, oh man, Bob just like thought it sucked. Like, no, it's just fun, seeing all the stuff. Jimmy and Owen and his crew were down there, and I got some random video clips, because I wasn't going to just walk around videoing everything, but I did get several like segments of walking, and here's some examples of stuff, and tried to capture showing how much free space there is, because this is in the same location that GenCon puts the dealer's hall. Pretty much the whole convention for Comic-Con is inside this. The celebrity areas and everything. There's a few things in the adjacent rooms, but nothing's outside the convention center, and almost everything is in the halls that they put the dealer's hall in for GenCon. So I was trying to get videos that capture like here's this giant cavernous space where there's nothing going on. GenCon, there'd be like 50 booths in there with commerce going in nonstop. So yeah, hopefully that captured that. And if I go tomorrow, I'll see if I can get some more videos. Don't know how I'm going to edit those together because there's no like cohesive through line. I'm just going to make them one lengthy video with like a 1 or 2 second block so that you realize like you're transitioning to another video and it's not the same video and you're like, did I miss something? You know, no, you didn't. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. And then obviously if I do go to Brick World instead, well, there'll be some videos about that. Then tomorrow night, I'm still intending on watching Char's Counterattack. So yeah, let you know how that goes. But yeah, that's all I've got to say for this. Yeah, I can't even think what else I would say. The only other thing that I saw that I would buy is there's a couple booths that have Star Wars old EU hardback novels. And there's a few that I never did get the hardback versions of. I still have the paperback versions, or I have like, I think they're library copies, because like the standards are like this tall, but I've got a few that are like this tall for some reason, and it's weird, like the Thrawn trilogy. The Last Command, I know someone bought that for me in a bookstore. It's the taller version, but one of the other two is a short one, and I want to have a more cohesive collection. Problem is, I didn't plan ahead because I didn't expect to see those, so I don't have a list of like, hey, I need these books in hardback. So I'm looking at them like, well, I mean, I own that book, but is it a hardback or a paperback? And is it a tall hardback or not? Like, there's a lot of them I can say for sure because I know I bought them myself as they came out. But there's older ones that I bought copies of here, there, and wherever that, yeah, I don't remember. So, which might make the trip to Half Price Books kind of redundant because that was my whole play there too. Although I might still go there and see if they've got some older Battletech books. And they occasionally also have like Omnis and stuff there, so we'll see. But yeah, that's about all I got. So we'll see if I end up going any place other than Comic-Con tomorrow or not. I don't know yet, but I'll determine that in the morning. But yeah, that's all I've got. So I don't know how I'm going to edit this again, like just filming and, you know, I'll piece it together somehow. So stay tuned for day 3, probably. See you later. All right, time for my day 3 thoughts from Indiana Comic-Con. I'm actually recording this the day after because I was pretty tired after everything and fell asleep before I could start recording last night. So, yesterday, I made a few more purchases, and we'll show you guys those here in a second. I took some pictures that I'm going to do like a voiceover to try to explain what the pictures are showing. And yeah, so that'll be somewhere past this if I edit everything together, which I don't know for sure if that's how I'm going to do everything, but because I got to wait till I get home, load everything up on the computer and see what everything looks like. So yeah, so anyway, like I said, bought a few things. My nephew Brandon, who's been on here before, is apparently a big fan of older types of media. I know he has a record player and apparently also likes VHS tapes. So I was able to find this sealed copy of Apocalypse Now. It's a widescreen edition, so it's not the original like 4:3 aspect ratio. This would actually be like what it would appear like in a theater. But it is still sealed and still has this print here in the back just to show you what a widescreen shot actually looks like. And yeah, because for those of you who never watched a VHS tape, the TVs that we had at the time were like a 4:3 aspect. So if you go back and look at older TV shows, that's why when you watch them on streaming, sometimes they've got bars on the sides because they were not made for 16:9 TVs. which is what most current TVs are. So you get the same problem with trying to run old video games on newer TVs. So that's why they have to go in, like whenever they re-release them, they have to like digitally upscale them or actually like widen what you can see, because like a side scroller, it's kind of important for the video game designer to know how much you can actually see at any given point in time, because some of you can't go backwards. So the more you can see ahead, it alters the strategy for going through the level. But anyway, so I found this, was $10, and the gentleman who sold it to me had his booth there, and I took down his name, which I apologize because I should have gotten it up before I started recording here, and I'll put it down in the description. And he's got a store here in Indiana, and I'm going to try to get up to check it out at some point, maybe see if he wants to buy my collection of VHS tapes, because I just don't watch on my VCR anymore, even though I have a functioning VCR. There's only a handful I would hang on to, just because I haven't upgraded them to DVDs and they're not on streaming anywhere as near as I can tell. Or they're ones like the not special edition Star Wars trilogy. So it's before any tinkering. But I also have the first iteration of the special editions, which just have, there's some new footage put in, and then there's, improved special effects. Well, okay, improved, depending on one's outlook. But it has like the scene with Jabba put back into A New Hope, with Jabba as his final form, not the guy in a big furry coat that he was originally depicted as when I filmed it. Or in Empire Strikes Back, whenever Vader, after his fight with Luke, they inserted a scene where he orders everyone to get ready to depart back to the Super Star Destroyer, and you see the shuttle fly up and then land and exit. And those were all new scenes. Then the end of Return of the Jedi is different. You see the celebration across the galaxy. But most important of all, it does not include the one thing that I just think is an unforgivably stupid idea, which was where they added in Vader, and I've spoken about this in other videos, so I apologize, but just in case you didn't see those, it's in Return of the Jedi where Vader is at the moment of truth of, am I going to let the Emperor kill Luke, or am I taking out the Emperor? And Lucas felt the need to put him in to have him say, no, no, which basically just took the line from Revenge of the Sith and kind of retooled it a bit, I think. And I don't know, I thought it was stupid. I thought that the music does everything you need to do, because the music clearly has the turmoil that Vader is feeling as the themes are fighting there in the music, where, you're like, well, which way is it going to go? And like that final moment of, if you've never seen the movie before, like, wait, is Vader actually going to finally turn against this evil asshole? And obviously he does. But yeah, no, the music does everything it needs to do there. You don't need the extra. Kind of like in The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers, the movie, this is the only real thing I really fault Peter Jackson for, the only like really bad decision I think he made. Towards the end of the movie, when Helm's Deep is being overrun and Aragorn convinces Theoden to ride out to face the hordes, he looks to the window and he can see that it's sunrise. Peter Jackson felt the need to include a replay of Gandalf's line where he's like, look for my coming on the sunrise of the second day. Like, no. Like, that was a stupid decision, because either people were paying attention and they know what's going to happen, or they weren't and they're about to be surprised. Like, either way, everyone wins. There's no reason to remind people at that point. Like, you had the perfect buildup of, because anyone that was only kind of paying attention, or people that were paying attention but kind of forgot, like, oh, crap, that's right, Gandalf, and then the Rohirrim, all right. It's a surprise moment. And it's just completely narratively undercut by including that. That's to me, that's a major mistake. Like, it's a major filmmaking flub, and pretty much the only one I really think of in the whole trilogy. But it's a bad one in my opinion. But I'm wildly off course now. So anyway, like I said, Apocalypse Now, VHS, sealed. It's got the, you can tell because it's got like the Paramount script here on the plastics. This is actually originally sealed. Now, the gentleman did have some other tapes, like the '89 Tim Burton Batman movie. He wanted $100 for that. So I can only conclude that that's a pretty pricey object on the secondary market. I think I actually have a copy of that. I think. But mine's not sealed. You know, mine are definitely have been used. So I also bought a couple of euchre card decks. Now, if you play euchre, you know there's not a lot of card. I don't even think you use half the deck. So there are 2 decks in this box. Because you use the 9, 10, Jack, Queen, King, the Ace, and if you use the 4 and the 6 for scorecards, well, these come with scorecards. So, but what they are is here in Indiana. Well, there are a number of colleges of note, but the 2 that are like known for being here and known for being rivals are IU and Purdue. And IU's colors are cream and crimson, and Purdue's are black and gold. So one set of these is cream and crimson like IU, the other is black and gold like Purdue. So yeah, and then it's got the state symbol on it there. So I bought these because I do like playing euchre, and my sister likes playing euchre. I actually got 2 of them. One of them's for her, one of them's for my house. And then also bought this bag for somebody. So hopefully you can actually read what it says there. That's a picture of Jason Momoa there. So yeah, and the note across the top, this bag is not waterproof, despite what it says there. So yeah, this was a booth, Totes Thirsty, because this is a tote. This is obviously for, you get it, hopefully. But yeah, they had some dandies. So one with Cillian Murphy and a big explosion in the background. With this bag is the bomb, because he played Oppenheimer, who helped develop the bomb, and just other things like that. And so yeah, there were some good ones. But yeah, interesting booth. I imagine they have an online presence if you want to check that out. Like I said, it's Thirsty Totes. So yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much everything I picked up yesterday. Again, I just couldn't bring myself to buy into the Marvel Legends figures. I looked through some of the more collected editions because the place I bought the omnibus I showed back on day 1, they had like paperbacks for like 4 for $20, pretty big selection of those, but I couldn't think of what I'd even be looking for. So, I looked through them for a while, but nothing really jumped out at me. Then, yeah, I don't even bother looking for singles, because there's none other than like Transformers Generation 2. Maybe some of the Resident Evil comics I have that I didn't quite get the whole storyline. Or G.I. Joe 155 from the Marvel run, maybe. But other than that, I don't know what I'd even be looking for, because if I go back beyond a certain point, I just don't have a bunch of singles. I've got them collected as omnis, and I'm not going to start going through and trying to build up a collection of singles, because I know I'm eventually going to hit keys. Those are key issues, like first appearances, final appearances, character in a new costume, things like that, big revelations. And a lot of the key issues are, expensive, because that's the one people want to collect. It's like the first appearance of the black costume for Spider-Man. Has some value. Oddly enough, not in a Spider-Man book. That's actually Secret Wars. I want to say Secret Wars number 8, but I could be wrong on that. It's pretty obvious he's on the cover in the black costume. And then it's not till later that you realize it's a symbiote. And, it's just things like that, like first appearance of Venom, first appearance of the Green Goblin, like the death of Norman Osborn, the death of Gwen Stacy. Those 2, I believe, are only 1 issue apart. And, just the death of Captain Stacy, maybe. Just things like that. They have value. And more recent issues, it's kind of hard to peg, because like sometimes you'll have like, oh, retroactively you now realize this other thing that was introduced over here was actually this thing. So now this issue that's not too old, but no one bought, like, yeah, now it's really super relevant. Like the comics industry is the collecting side. It's got some oddities. It's got some quirks. Or a character like Apocalypse. His first appearance is actually in X Factor number 5, but you only see like a shadowed silhouette in his hand. So like his first full appearance is X Factor number 6. And I believe number 6 is the one that's more valuable because it's the first time you actually see like his full visage, you know. So, but you get things like that with comics. And so, you know, without looking for keys, because I'm not looking for keys, because most of them, they're going to have them graded, which instantly increases the price dramatically because it costs like $50 to have them graded. And obviously you want to get your money back if you had it graded. Like I saw someone had a graded copy of G.I. Joe 155. The significance of that, by the way, is it's the final issue of the Marvel run, and which was written entirely by Larry Hama. One guy wrote every issue of that. And he, the last 10 issues, if you ever look them up, they escalate in value as you go along because they knew they were shutting down the comic. And so this is back whenever comics would be on spinner racks in stores and everything. And so they were ordering fewer and fewer with each issue. So like 154 is a reasonably valuable book too. I have like the last 10 issues except for the last single issue because I never could find it. And this is pre-internet, so it was a couple of years before I mean, at one point I just had to accept that the line had just stopped. But before I knew for sure that that was the last issue, it was years later that I knew for sure that the one issue I didn't have was the final issue. And yeah, so like I said, so I've got some of those. Unfortunately, they're not in very good condition because, well, I was a kid. I didn't keep them in very good condition. But those are actually, I think those are most of the books from the old G.I. Joe run that are actually valuable. I think the rest of them are pretty easy to get a hold of. I could probably actually get most of the issues I'm missing for a fair price. Like, I'd probably find those in dollar bins. But, by the way, the G.I. Joe comic was spectacular. Larry Hama, for those of you that don't know, also wrote all of the file cards that used to be on the back of the packaging for the figures. They all had like a file card that told you, you know, their specialty, their real name, the blurb about them, a quote and stuff. And Larry Hama wrote all of those as well, with one exception. That was for a character named Crystal Ball, who was written by Stephen King, because his son was a big fan of the series. And he actually has a figure coming out soon, a G.I. Joe Classified figure. That's a Walmart exclusive. I'm going to get a hold of it because it's, I mean, Crystal Ball's a ludicrous character, but like the additional accessories and everything they gave me actually looks really cool. So he was definitely saved by the revamp. So anyway, that's most of what I did at the convention. Chris and his son Charlie picked up some stuff. Chris had his two brothers we've run into at several conventions. And he tries to get them to each do like a comic, like a complimentary. And there are what are called blanks, which is literally just a comic that has like a title header, like if Iron Man just has like the Iron Man logo, and then it's just a white blank. And you know, people take them to shows like this to have people, you know, have an artist make a cover essentially. And yeah, I didn't see the finished product, so I couldn't tell you if it's any good. I've seen their other work though, so I know it is. I'm sure it's good. But yeah, at some point, whenever I got some extra money, I need to look into getting something like that done. But anyway, that's most of what we did at the convention. Hit up Wild Bill's soda enough time to try to speed run, give myself diabetes, I think. That's a very sugary soda, but I drank a lot of it. Then we came back here. We ate. And we came back here for a little while. Then I went to go watch Mobile Suit Gundam Char's Counterattack in a theater, which was really cool. It's the only Gundam series I've seen, the only Gundam anything I've seen in a theater like that, and one of the only 2 anime movies that I've seen in a theater. The other was Ghost in the Shell, I believe, unless I'm forgetting one, and I don't think I am. Well, okay, I guess technically I am, because I saw Pokemon the movie in a theater, and I think I saw the second Pokemon movie. I don't know. I think I might have gotten suckered into going to watch a Yu-Gi-Oh movie too. So okay, one of the literal handful I've seen, and hopefully here in a few weeks we'll be able to go watch Vampire Hunter D, the 40th anniversary. Now I'm not entirely certain why this one is in theaters because the copyright date on it, or trademark date, whichever, was 1988, which is, let's see, 25. 35, 37 years ago. Is that right? Yeah, 37 years ago. I don't know what the relevance of that is at all. Like, that doesn't, there's nothing relevant to the number 37 in the Gundam series that I can think of. But doesn't matter. It was really awesome seeing that. I was disappointed that it was subtitled. I know the purists out there in the anime community think I'm one of the heretics for saying this, but I prefer dubbed over subtitled. That's just me. I know other people are like, oh, you can feel the emotion in the subtitle. I'm like, yeah, but I'm also having to focus on the bottom of the screen and like trying to speed read so I can actually look at the rest of the picture. And because it's a highly visual medium. Like if I want to read a book, I'll read a book. I don't have a problem with subtitled movies, but like I prefer to watch dubbed if I have the choice. But with Gundam in particular, that's kind of a problem with some of them. The original Gundam series, which came out in 1979, had anime sometimes. Some shows will have like a movie that like condenses several episodes. It'll have like the high points and certain chunks, but it'll skip a lot of what other people consider filler. And the original Gundam series is no different. It had 3 movies that condensed a 50-some-odd episode series down into 3 pretty lengthy movies. Remember, right there, 2.5 hours. Well, the first time I watched them, I rented them from a video store on VHS tape, oddly enough. And they were subtitled. And when they were initially released on DVD, they were subtitled. So I have a copy of them on DVD, subtitled, because that's the way I'm used to watching those. But like the dubbed version is actually like the rare one, which is kind of odd here in the US. But also, I think they're on Netflix right now, or at least they were when I checked a few days ago. And well, no, it's a month or 2 ago. They were still there. So was Char's Counterattack, by the way, if you guys want to see it here. But I'll be doing a separate video talking about that. But like I said, it was really awesome seeing that on the big screen, especially like later 80s anime, because like late 80s to like late 90s is what a lot of people here in the US consider like peak anime, because that's when the artwork was more refined than like 70s anime, but before like a bunch of digital baloney started getting inserted in there. And yeah, and that was like you had a bunch of stories that made their way over here that ordinarily wouldn't have been considered great, but the animation level was fantastic. So a lot of it gets a pass. And that's not to say there isn't good anime still making its way over here. Now the examples I'm about to give are not super fresh, but like Death Note and Full Metal Alchemist are both really good. And I know those are from like, I think those are both pre-2010. Then the latest round of Evangelion movies, they were pretty good. And they were somewhere in the 2010s, I believe, is when they came out. They might be the early 2020s, but they were the 2010s, like the later 2010s. And I'm sure that there's other quality stuff, plus the stuff that Netflix is producing, like the Castlevania series is really good. The War of the Rohirrim movie, it's anime. It's a Western property, but it's definitely anime. It should be the same people that make the Castlevania series, I believe. That was pretty good. And so, I'm not saying there's not good stuff, but like that era, there's like just gold everywhere you look. So I would like to see more of it on the big screen, so I'm going to try to go watch Vampire Hunter D. The sequel to that is really good too. Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust. I want to say that was late 90s, but that might be early 2000s. And then, of course, the anime series that if everyone's ever like, look, I don't like anime, but I will watch one series, and based on that, I will decide if I watch any other anime. If I'm ever in that situation, like without hesitation, the answer is Cowboy Bebop. It's not overly long. It's only like 26 episodes. It's not entirely one single narrative throughout. It's various misadventures with narrative episodes in between. It's a lot like the X-Files, where there was a lot of Monster of the Weeks, but then you also had like the plot episodes. So it's a mix of those, and it all culminates in the final 2 episodes. Now, if they grant me a minor extension, I'll have them watch the movie as well. But the movie is not necessary to understand the series. So, but yeah. So that's, like I said, that's pretty neat watching that in the theater. No trailers. There was just like one random commercial and then straight into it. So, yeah. I'm really hoping that Vampire Hunter D is dubbed and not subtitled. And like I feel like I was kind of suckered on that one. That's the only kind of thing I'm disliked here, because the trailer that the website used was in English. It was not a subtitled trailer. So like if you show the dubbed trailer, what do you expect people are going to think they're going to watch? You know, like. So I feel like there was a bait and switch there, and I really hope that doesn't happen with Vampire Hunter D, because it's also the English trailer. So here's hoping. But yeah, so you can let me know how much of a heathen I am down in the comments for wanting to watch dubbed instead of subtitled. But yeah, that's and then when I came back here to my friend's house, we watched Bill Burr, one of his comedy specials. I think it was on Hulu. It was filmed late last year. I couldn't tell you what the name of it was. Not going to do a separate video on it, because I'd basically just be repeating his jokes. I thought it was pretty funny throughout. I know Bill Burr here recently has kind of gotten some flack, and I see people kind of coming down on him from a political angle, and I don't know, he seems to me like an equal opportunity, I don't want to say equal opportunity comedian. His targets of opportunity seem to be equally spread. Yeah, so I didn't have a problem with the jokes. I thought they were funny. But yeah, that's about all I've done up here. So trying to decide if I'm going to go to the Lego store while I'm up here. If I do, I'll show a video of what I actually end up buying, because it'll probably be parts from the Pick-a-Brick wall. Probably. You gotta see what they've got though, and the figures and things like that, and see if anything's on sale. I would hate to have to drive to the north side of Indianapolis for nothing, so we'll probably buy something. And I do plan on making some other stops: Ollie's, Ross, probably Target, maybe Barnes and Noble. See what they've got. You know, see if there's any BattleTech stuff on sale at Barnes and Noble. See if Target has some of the figures I'm looking for that I didn't want to overpay for at the convention yesterday, because I know I could probably still find them at retail for less. So yeah, we'll see how that all pans out. If there's anything significant there, I'll definitely do a video on that, and I might even just like put it at the end of this, because it's all this one trip, or I might do separate. I don't know. But I've also got some video once I get it all and see what I've got. It's probably going to be after this segment, and I might record another segment for the very beginning to explain what all you're about to watch. But if I did, then you have seen that at this point, because you're kind of deep into it by now. So we'll see. You'll see. Somebody will see. Maybe it'll just be me on the computer. I don't know. In which case, you won't hear any of this, and it's all been pointless. That's how it goes sometimes. But yeah. So that's where we're going to cut things off here. Don't be surprised if there's like a splice right after this to explain whatever's going to come after this, or just end the video, because I don't know for sure it's going to end here. I'm not going to put the ending in. But yeah, I did buy some other things, by the way, but they're for Sarah, and I want them to be a surprise. I'm not going to put them on here, because this might go up before I see her again. So, and she does watch the videos, so I don't want to spoil the surprise. But anyway, that's all I've got. So that's going to be signing off for this segment. Maybe there's something after this. Maybe there's not. We'll see. See you later. All right. Well, I said you'd see me again. So here I am. These are going to be the videos that are recorded at the convention center. They're just a little quick. You know, I don't think any of them are even last a minute long. Just to give you an idea of what the show looked like. Not as in-depth as our attempt at recording from GenCon last year. Also, there's a little bit of pixelation. I think it's because it's moving the camera too fast. So that's on me. I should have checked them after the first day to make sure they looked okay. Again, that's on me. I should have done that. I left the original sound in because I didn't walk anywhere near people that were playing copyrighted music. And just to give you an idea what it sounds like, what it looks like in comparison to Gen Con. And I'll have a couple still pictures with a voiceover afterwards. And again, me explaining it. But there's going to be a 1 second black screen at the end of each clip, so you know it's jumping to another clip. So anyway, here we go.
T-shirts if you want to look. Oh, you should look at the back of the car.
She was great. When I was like, what kind of scientist? She said, why are you leaving here?
I got Owen.
What?
Yeah, just taking some random videos. I'm going to pile them all together.
Just maybe don't point the camera this way.
Yeah, I won't get you in it, don't worry.
All right, so this is going to be a picture where I do a voiceover, try to explain the context of the picture. So anyway, here we go. So this is a picture to illustrate the relative like booth density, I guess, in comparison to GenCon. As you can see here, there's a very large open area between the booths on the right and the booths on the left. And that is simply not the case during GenCon. This area this is in is the same hall that the dealer's hall is in during GenCon. And there are no massive open spaces like this. There's a section where there are tables to sit, but that's very small. But otherwise, there's nothing like this. Like this would be, like from right to left, you would not be able to see the front because of the booths that would be blocking the way. And there's actually a couple of these kind of big open spots for Comic-Con. The booths are also significantly closer together during GenCon. So yeah, this is just, like I said, it's kind of a give you a perspective on the difference in size and the overall kind of like density of people and booths and everything. Now the Indiana Comic-Con has been getting bigger and bigger every year. So I think it actually took up more space this year than it normally does. So maybe one day it'll be close, but for now, it's still significantly smaller than GenCon. And if you want to see some comparisons, I believe we have some video for our GenCon 2024 videos. But yeah, that was why I took this picture, to give you folks some kind of perspective here, and hopefully it worked out. So anyway, that's all I've got to say on this. So signing off. Well, that's pretty much the end of the video there. So I hope you folks got something out of this. Try to get some coverage of the Indiana Comic-Con like we do at GenCon every year. I'll see what looks good once I get all this uploaded. Try to get a better idea of how to handle things next year maybe. And also, you know, kind of a pre-run for how we handle some things for GenCon this year. At least that's the idea anyway. So that's all I've got. So, you know, if you folks want to comment down below, we always appreciate that. Did you go to the convention? Do you plan on going to the convention? Are you several states away and you're never going to go to the convention? You know, whatever. But like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Sharing and commenting help us grow the channel. Always appreciate it. But yeah, that's all I've got for this one. So see you folks later.